Being human. All right. In this segment, Isabella, I have a survey. It's called my Being Human survey. And I ask the same questions to all of my guests.
How did you come up with these survey questions for this segment here?
You know, it's an interesting question. Years ago, long, like when I was in my mid 20s, I had this idea of doing something called the Earth Poll. And what I wanted to do was poll every person or the same demographic of person across the world and ask them the same questions, gather their answers in an effort to figure out what does it mean to be a human being in this world. And I started to kind of logistically figure out how this could be done and am I going to get a sponsor in every country in the world to find the right, subjects to give them the survey and gather the data. And lo and behold, that never happened. But fast forward to now, you were one of the students that came to my VR world, and right, and you saw. Do you remember going across the bridge of insights in the VR world?
Yeah, I remember the bridge. Yeah.
And as you cross the bridge of insights, it's snowing, and you can hear
Hmm.
my insights in the air. Right, as you go through, you hear the insights in the background music, and then you get to a place where the music stops. That's my vision for this. So for my Being Human segment, what I want to do is I want to gather the answers to the same questions from all of the different people and then have a bridge of this first question. And then as you go down that bridge, you hear all these different answers to that same question. And then you get to a platform at the other end, but whoever walked across that bridge and is at the other end, now you can have this talk about that question, right? And so this is I'm trying to use this in the VR world. So we're going to create a world that's kind of like this multiple bridge of this and bridge of that based on these questions, where then we can hear all the answers together and create kind of mosaic about what it means to be a human being.
That's a
So
really, really cool idea. I think also what you said earlier about your Earth poll idea, I never thought about something like that, but I think if that was reality, that'd be really, really incredible. And
yeah,
yeah, I feel
yeah, I agreed. And I think it would be actually a lot easier to do in today's world when we're all connected and we all have digital. Like I was trying to do it back in the day when there was before internet. In any case, all right. First question, Isabella. What don't you understand about people?
think about people in general, I'd say I don't understand why certain people seek power for the sake of having power. I think I noticed this when I read the book, and I'd assume you know the book 1984, where the party essentially seeks power just for the sake of power. It's something that they do, and I think that's something that really confused me, and I wasn't really able to understand why people would just simply want power. I think for me myself, um, I would just just having a happy life, having my friends around me, and having enough money to live comfortably. I think that's enough. I don't know why people would want so much power because I think with power also comes so much responsibility. So I think that's something I don't
Well, have
really
you, have you
understand.
ever heard the expression of power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely? And so you think about all these people entering these big government positions and becoming elected, then they become corrupted politicians, right? Lo and behold, almost
Mhm.
everybody in politics is corrupted. They're in the pocket of their corporate masters and doing the bidding of their corporate masters instead of the people. So did all those people enter politics corrupted? No, they entered politics like you and I with idealistic views and wanting to change the world for the better. And then once they got the power, it's like the Lord of the Rings. My precious, right? You become corrupted. You become drunk on power. I think that's what it is. And the more power
Yeah,
you get,
maybe.
it's like the more drinks you have.
So I think that's probably just something I can't understand yet because I haven't had this experience with power. I haven't had this power yet. Maybe, like not until you do get all this power can you understand that.
If, if there's one thing you could change about your childhood, what would it be?
I feel like I'm still pretty young. I think I'm still part of my childhood. But I'd probably say like appreciate the moments more, appreciate when I can spend time with my family because this won't always last. And I think being a child is probably the happiest part of your life when you can spend the most genuine moments with your family.
Yeah, well said. And also the fleetingest part of your life. It goes by so fast, right? What advice would you give then to your younger self?
To my younger self, I think I'd tell myself to not worry so much, maybe not work that hard. Um, I think I worked way too hard in elementary school, and now I'm in high school and I feel quite stressed. And I sometimes don't remember how I worked so hard back then because I thought that was my entire world and that was, what's gonna like determine my future. When really, like what I do today doesn't even matter because I'm only in grade 10. And I think when you're little, you think everything you do is so important, and I worry about it
Yeah,
so much and I work so hard
I
on
know
it.
what you mean. I know what you mean. I was that kind of student too in the early years of school, and I was the busiest, most perfectionist kind of student. Do you trust yourself?
I do and I don't. I think I probably trust myself more than most of my peers. I've noticed at school for projects, I would prefer to do it like individual projects over group projects because I trust myself more than like other people to do their work. But there are definitely things that, other people are much better at and like, experts, I would definitely trust them more than myself to do certain things.
Oh, good. So why are so many people their own worst enemy?
We sometimes bring ourselves down or we tell ourselves we can't do things because that's like what we're taught to do, I think. Because I feel like if somebody was born into a world where there simply was nobody else, I think maybe this person would think that they could literally do anything because no one's telling them what they can and can't do. And I think a lot of what makes people decide not to do things is their fear of judgment from other people. And I think without this judgment, without other people's influences, really your mind is simply a blank slate, right? You could make yourself think you could do anything you want.
What gives you hope about the future, either personally or the world's future?
I'd say for personally, just kindness in strangers. I like to think that strangers are like little pockets of happiness that you can find in your everyday life. Where I've noticed recently, I really like to talk to strangers because when there's someone who has nothing to gain from you, you'll never see them ever again in their life. Um, the fact that they're going out of the way like to be nice to you, I think that shows me that there is hope.
So, what's one thing in your estimation that needs to happen in order for our world to be a better place?
For the entire world, I think we need to achieve like nuclear fusion. I'd say we've been working on this for decades, but I think this is really something that can change the world for the better. I think once this is actually achieved, and I really hope I get to see this in my lifetime, I think this can solve so many problems in the world, right? We'll have such a sustainable, like endless energy source. And a lot of the conflicts that happen like today are because of oil and natural resources. And I think this would be like a really, really huge step in solving a lot of the world's problems.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we've made a huge leaps in that direction recently. Like that, those scientists in, I think it's Scotland, that are developing that star in a box, the fusion energy, right? They now know how to create the same amount of energy. This box, which is the size of a small room, they can heat it up to where it's 10 times hotter than the core of the sun.
Oh,
And then
wow.
and the problem is they have to shut it down or it'll explode. And so just recently, actually, just a few weeks ago, they made a huge announcement, which was a big fusion energy kind of breakthrough, that they were able to generate enough energy back from this machine than they needed in order to produce the energy. So for the first time in human existence, we actually got fusion energy more back than what we put in to get it. And so it's very, very exciting because now that signifies it's just a matter of time. Whether it happens in your lifetime, I hope so. But now it's just a matter of time before they can do it for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then 24/7. And I think you're right. Like even in COVID, when people started driving less, the earth started healing itself miraculously. And the ozone started patching up and the rivers replenished with fish. So imagine if we had now no more fossil fuels at all, how this planet, there would be no need to go to Mars because we would become like a jungle teeming
Mhm.
with life again in this planet. And also, if we wanted to go to see another planet, we don't have to stop at Mars with a fusion cell pack, right? We can go to any planet out there that's completely compatible to Earth condition. All right. I'm taking over your interview. Sorry. Let's see. Ah, what can you do to make your life more meaningful?
I should probably consume media more meaningfully or more mindfully, I guess. Like I've been thinking of, I think this is probably a very small thing, but to make my personal life more meaningful, I should like start a journal where I write down or I analyze and think about the media that I consume and make sure that I'm, think actually thinking about it and trying to derive the meaning that it's trying to bring to me instead of simply having it come at me for entertainment and then go out the other way.
Look up a guy named Marshall McLuhan. He's a Canadian thinker that was all about the media. And this guy will blow your mind. And I think he taught at university media courses, and he became famous for this field. All right. Do you believe in karma, Isabella, or that maybe you're paying off some kind of karma in this lifetime?
Um, I don't think so, but if I did, I feel like I probably had a pretty good last life. I feel like my life right now is pretty good as well. But
You
I
feel
don't think
charmed in
karma is,
this life?
yeah, I think so, but I don't necessarily believe in karma. I think there is some truth in the fact that if you do good things, people will notice, and this will probably have like benefits, but only if other people are to play in this, or if, the things that you do bring you rewards because of the effort that you put in. There is some truth in it, but not like as a magical thing that just happens in the universe.
All right, let's talk about your legacy and how would you like people to remember you after you're gone?
I think just quite simply as a nice person. I think I don't really need to be remembered. I don't feel the need to be remembered as someone really great, really smart, or anything like that. But maybe just somebody who made someone's day, or, in my little small circle of influence, made other people's lives a bit better.
Okay, and what happens to us when we die?
Um, I think after we die, we just simply don't feel pain. But I feel like we don't have to struggle anymore. But really, nothing else happens that much. Sometimes I like to think that when we die, we after we die, like our soul gets put into a different in a second. Our soul
Okay.
gets put into a different like body or a next like an animal or another person. And I find that thought comforting because it seems like we have another chance.
Well,
Yeah,
following your
go ahead.
logic, isn't there a risk that if you don't fear what happens after we die, that you might lead a reckless life or lead a kind of life that that doesn't fear consequences?
Right, but I think like most people probably would say that nothing happens after you die. Yet not everyone in the world is reckless, right? Not everyone believes in, God and going to hell or heaven, but most people are still kind of virtuous
Or
just by
maybe
nature.
they fear the earthly consequences of being a bad person
Yeah,
or
maybe.
so who has been a huge inspiration in your life and why?
There've definitely been a lot of people, but I think for really tangible inspiration, I'd say just a couple of my peers. I probably won't name actual people, but like I think getting inspiration from people around you feels a lot more real and a lot more personal to you. Like you can listen to inspirational speeches all day long and you can get some inspiration out of that, but I think the fact that you don't know these people it makes it feel a little bit far away and it's not like you might think about it and like, oh, that's actually really inspirational, but you might not actually do things about it. But I know there are a couple of people around me, a couple of my peers who have done things that have really inspired me to do things as well. Like I know one of my friends started a club at school, and that's what like made me think it was possible to start a club at school. So that's what I did. And one of my friends started a nonprofit organization. So that's what I'm trying to do right now as well. So I think just seeing people around me who are doing real tangible things makes me feel like I'm able to do that as well. And it's a lot more practical for me than like seeking inspiration from people who are just like far away from me and I like feel
And what kind
distant and
of
not connected.
nonprofit organization are you doing right now?
So I'm trying to start one and I'm in like the beginning stages of it. It's called the Future Female Leader Society, focused on feminism. And essentially it's like um, to kind of not I wouldn't say combat, but like the fact that most positions of power in the status quo, even though women and men, and all genders legally have achieved equality, a lot of positions of power are still held by men. And I think what I want to achieve with this organization is to kind of shift the focus in any way I can and to kind of empower people around me or just like normal everyday girls and young women to kind of be able to have the leadership skills and the confidence to seek these like leadership positions out in the future. And I think if I can make a small difference like this, that would make it very meaningful.
That's really cool, Isabella. And there's nobody more better suited than you to do something like that. Um, you know, my God, I'm so excited for you because really what you're saying is you're headed towards becoming a social justice warrior. And that was always my dream for all of my debaters when they join my class. And I always I think it's lesson number 3 in level 1. I say, I don't know why you're here. I don't know why your parents put you here, but what I want for you, and then I show that picture of the Viking. Remember that? The Viking with the chainmail, and we do a collective speech. I said, I want you to become a social justice warrior because debaters are really good at that. Debaters are lending their voice, their strength to a certain cause. And like we talked about already, now in this effort of yours, you're going to be a formidable force and creating a beacon of light all on your own, right? And when you join forces with other people who are similar minded, you're going to be doing a lot of good work in this world, right? Good for you. I'm so happy to hear that. And thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for joining me today, Isabella. You were a wonderful guest. It's great catching up with you in this way. And I just feel like I know you a lot better now. And all of the kids in the program are going to continue to learn about you beyond what I just tell them naturally all the time. But now they're going to see clips of you speaking, and your legend will only grow. So thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me here. I actually truly feel really honored. And I think, yeah, this is, I was really nervous for this actually. I've been thinking about it all morning, but really I thought, just to come into this and like try to have some fun. And I think it really was fun. So yeah, thank you so
Great. I'm
much.
happy to hear it. All
And
right. We'll see you then. Bye bye,
all
Isabella.
right,
Take care.
bye. Have a nice day.
You too.